This video is to show you how to go about studying for our AP chemistry class. Or this is just some suggestions and how to make a study outline using your notebook. So what I would do is, or how to do this is to make some columns, and you could put your paper in landscape. So landscape is like that versus portrait. So portrait would be like lengthwise like that. So that's up to you. Just because I can't rotate mine, I'm gonna end up doing mine in portrait. But however you want to do it's up to you, like the format. In the left column over here, I would put the topic on this paper, and then so the topic is going to be not that long, so I would make it not that long of a column. And here I would put the overlying concepts, and then here I would have an example of that concept. So go in chronological order from the very beginning. Typically, you want to prioritize your studying from the old stuff and work your way towards the newer stuff. Um, with the thinking that the old stuff are things that you might have forgotten. So if you go in your notebook, like one of the first things, these are my PowerPoint slides from class, and one of the first things you might see are sig figs. This is like our second day of school, I think. Um, and so, I mean, you may not want to put these. I mean, these are just the simple rules for me. I mean, we've been doing this the whole year, right? So you don't need to like recopy, the Atlantic Pacific rule, something like that. But you do want to put a topic. So I like to put here. So what I like to do is put a line here in the column, and this is unit one, like all our basic fundamental science skills. So one of the first thing we did was sig figs, and the one of the concepts were the reason you do sig figs is because you're limited by your measuring tools. Another concept is like you want to include like power pack things. So um, for example, in your notes you had this, right? Like always include one more digit than what the glassware is showing. So you might want to include that on your study guide that you're making, your study outline. So remember to include one more digit than what the instrument is showing. Okay, these are your own notes. So we're going to keep a running list of all the topics that we've done. And this will be handed back to you, a day after I get it. I just want to take a look and see what you put if you're being detailed enough. So you want to make sure that you're detailed enough, but at the same time, you need to condense this. This is like your condensed notebook. And we're going to be calling on this every time we have a comprehensive test, a cumulative test. And then by the time we get to like February, March, your condensed notebook should have everything that your notebook has just in a condensed form. And it's just like all your rewritten work that you've done. In the last column, we have like examples. And so what you want to show is maybe you could pick some from warm-ups we've done in classwork. You could pick your examples from the book that we've done. So an example you could include is like a beaker that goes up by tens. Okay, and then say that's your water line. So your amount in here is going to be like 30. We could only say 35. So we can't go any more than that because this is only going up by tens, right? And so the 5 right there is our uncertain number. So in this last third column, you want to put examples that illustrate the concept. Okay, and go in chronological order. So our next topic is precision. Okay, so you may have forgotten precision. That's the whole point of this, is going back in your notebook and reviewing. You have to review, repeat, review, repeat. You have to keep doing that. So to make it more concrete, to make it stick, the more you review to it, you might have new questions that you didn't see before, because you're seeing the concept at a deeper level the next time. So our next thing here for Unit 1 is precision and accuracy, our next little subtopic. So precision and accuracy. Okay, and you want to, define each one. So precision, and as you see, I'm abbreviating here. So precision is how many decimals the instrument goes to. It's also precision is also repeating an experiment and getting the same or similar result. Okay. An example of that is one that we saw from the video. So you could include that example here. So for precision, so you could even make some lines here to distinguish what topic is going with what. So on this one, so like if you have your first trial, it's 9.9, second trial 10.0, third trial 10.0, we could say this data is precise. And if we know the actual value, that's your definition of accuracy. So how close to the actual value you got? So if we know the actual value of this weight was 10 grams, we're also accurate. Okay, so that's precision and accuracy. Um, okay, if we go in chronological order, one of the next things we did. So dimensionless, I wouldn't include that because those are skills that we've been doing the whole year. So you don't need to include that. Um, so naming compounds was like one of the next things we did. So naming ionic compounds, ionic compounds. Okay, so you may have forgotten, when to use Roman numerals. So you might want to. So you have to indicate the charge with a Roman numeral to show the charge. Okay, another, so and you could include the example from the notes or from the book. You may want to include this. These actually come up. So like some examples or some other things that you could put is the stuff that you see over here, like CD and ZN. These are always, especially ZN's always a 2 plus, AG's always a plus 1. Okay, and you could include some examples here. Um, Again, going chronologically, the next thing, so naming acids is another thing that you could put. So naming acids, and maybe you want to recopy this chart into this part right here, and then include some examples like HCl is a halogen example, hydrochloric acid, and then you maybe want to include an example of a polyatomic ion that ends in ate, you would name it ic, and then a polyatomic ion that ends in ite, you would name it us, and so on. Okay, and again, go chronologically. So after that, I'm finding our next topic is um, empirical formulas. Or did we do? Oh, we did isotope abundance actually would be the next thing. Okay, so you could include that here. Okay, and it's the concept of a weighted average you would put here. Okay, and then maybe a brief example of something that we did. I believe there's one in the summer assignment. Um, and then our next topic, percent composition, empirical formulas, combustion analysis. This was like our next topic. So a combustion analyzer and how does that work? So you could also include when you're doing this, when let's say you got to empirical formulas, okay, combustion analysis, okay, maybe include a picture of a combustion analyzer, okay, because that really describes like actually what it's doing. It's collecting all of your sample in here and here. So all of the carbon and winds up in the form of CO2. All of the hydrogen from the fossil fuel ends up as H2O. So and then you want to include the steps of how you do it. So you have to get the carbon, hydrogen, subtract that to get the oxygen. Okay, and then you definitely probably want to redo one of those over here in the example area. So this tutorial is just to give you an idea of how to study. It's like you have to review, repeat in a class like this, and you start to notice things too. You start to notice patterns the more you do this, and the you'll be able to recall things like when you see it on an exam. And this is the idea: is every cumulative test we have, you're gonna you should definitely hold on to this outline that you're making, because I'm not gonna have you guys rewrite it every single test we have, but I'm gonna have you keep it in like a packet, maybe even its own folder. And then we're going to attach the papers at the end. You should have a whole chronological list of basically your condensed notebook, um, and then you have like your kind of own homemade study guide to go off of. So that's just to give you an example of how to study. I've had students tell me over and over they'll do well on a quiz, and I start to inquire. I ask about it. I go, how do you guys do? What are you doing to prepare? And almost every time, this is what they say they do. Something like this. They rewrite their notebook, basically. So um, that's the end of our video on some studying tips.